another old hospital. That's the old Candler Hospital. That was built in the 1800s also. That was purchased by SCAD a couple years ago for $27 million. And they have classes here, dormitories. Another beautiful church is the Wesley Monumental Methodist Church. It's coming up here. It'll be on our left. And it was built in the 1800s to honor John and Charles Wesley. They came here in 1736 to start the Methodist movement at the request of James. Now, Calhoun Square here is one of the last of the 24 squares built. There's still 22 left of these. We're going to stop at the Massey Heritage School. That's a museum today, and it's the first public school in Georgia. That was built in 1856. And there's coming up on the right is Clary's Cafe. This was built in the early 1900s. Good breakfast, lunch here. All the counter scenes from Midnight in the Garden, a good evening were filmed here. And the pictures of the stars are inside there, right in there. Here's beautiful Jones Street. See the beautiful mansions like this one, all the way down.
Oh, big houses. They're all big mansion, man.
That's Hannah.
Anak ko sa ground floor.
Now this is Lafayette Square, named in honor of General Marquis de Lafayette from France. And he was good friends with George Washington. Helped him out in the war a bunch. Now that mansion over there on the left, that is the Andrew Lowe Mansion. You can tour that during the day or take our ghost and gravestone tours at night. That's your first stop on that tour. And of course, Juliet Gordon Lowe married into this family, started the Girl Scouts of America there in 1912. Short stories and books, and you can tour that one. This is the Hamilton Turner Inn, for the first moments of man-to-have electricity. And here's the beautiful cathedral of St. John the Baptist, built in the 1800s. And they are open. You'll go in this side door right over here. I'm going to stop just down here. This is stop 6. Be careful when you get off because we're tilting to the right a good bit. And enjoy that. You will. Check out some of the squares. Really pretty there too. Here. You can also go to the cemetery.
I was offended by that, for obvious reasons. Turned out Oglethorpe's problem with Catholics was that his enemies were Catholic, and he was afraid if the Spanish attacked our colony, any Catholic residents of Savannah might feel conflicted and feel the need to side with our religious brethren over our neighbors. Over here on our right is Colonial Park Cemetery. 1750 to 1853 we were burying our folks here. Coming up on our right in the middle of the cemetery, there should be a monument with 4 white columns. That is a monument to Button Gwinnett. Now, Button first fully automated fire department in the country. Coming up here, right in front of it, this lovely bell, that is Big Duke. Duke weighs about 5,500 pounds. We used to ring that bell to let our firemen know where the fire was located. We had 24 squares. We would ring that bell. Each square had a number assigned. We'd ring the bell that number of times. I think that works very well for squares 1 through 8. I think past that, we are going to get a little lost. Coming up here on our right on the corner in several shades of brown and gray is the Juliet Gordon Lowe birthplace. Now, Juliet was born here Halloween night of 1860. So I loved her already, folks. Now, Juliet founded the Girl Scouts in 1912. happened to her in 1912. Her mother passed away. Her husband passed away. Now, her husband died when she was in the middle of divorcing him. So
Oh.
it was awkward all around. She went to England after everything was settled to try and have some Juliet time. She met the gentleman who founded the Boy Scouts. He told her all about this jamboree where hundreds of girls showed up. They had registered with their first initial and their last name, so no one would know till they got there. That let her know there was a need, there was a demand, and folks, the Girl Scouts were born. Over here on our right, we're proud to have this in our city. This is the first federal building in the United States to have ever been named after a woman. It is the Juliet Gordon Low Federal Building. Now, we do kind of wish it had been designed by somebody else. We jokingly call it the bathroom tile building. For, again, obvious reasons. Now, over here on our left is the Jepson Center for the Arts, part of the Telfair Academy of Arts and Sciences. It was added to the museum so they can have larger art exhibits. On the second floor, they have what they call their Art Museum. That is where the young and the young at heart, no one's excluded, can try out different art forms and see if you have a talent for it or even just an enjoyment from it. Now, this is Telfair Square. This is named for the entire Telfair family. Started with Edward Telfair. He was the governor of Georgia. Then his son Alexander, at 18 years old, went to his father and said, "I need my own home." His father hired the architect William J., who was trying to make a name for himself. This was back in 1819. Think back to your first place, folks.
Around number 8.
That first apartment, home, whatever you had on your own first, even if it was that little dorm room. Think about that. Get a good picture of it in your mind. And then, folks, as we're coming up here, I would like you to take a little glance to your left at this lovely apricot-colored mansion with the statues of the old masters out front. And tell me if that looks like anybody's first place away from home to you. You could fit mine in that front garden 3 times. I've measured. Now, when Alexander passed away, he left the house to his sister Mary. We remember our friend Mary. Mary died in 1875. Now, she never married, as I said earlier. She had no children to leave the home to. So she left it to the Georgia Historical Society with, being Mary Telfair, several rules attached. She said that this house had to be used as an art or a science museum only. Can I get arms back inside the trolley, please? My little friend in the back, thank you so much. Had to be an art or a science museum. No ifs, ands, or buts, or wiggle room on that one. Her portrait was never to be removed from the home. And there were to be no parties and no consumption of alcohol in Mary's house. The only rule we've never broken, it is an art and science museum. If you want to find out what happens when we don't follow Mary's rules, you can take our Ghosts and Gravestones tour and they will gladly tell you all about it. Coming up here in the City Market at stop number 7. At stop 7 is the American Prohibition Museum. If you haven't been yet, I highly recommend. They have got wax figures, they've got antique cars, and a functioning speakeasy where they can mix you up a Prohibition-era cocktail or a mocktail if you are not of legal drinking age or not a drinker by trade. Please remain seated until we come to a full stop. Wait for me to open the door before you stand. Stop 7 also, if you haven't had lunch yet, there are some wonderful restaurants here I can recommend to you. Watch your step for me, folks.
Pag gutom ka na?
Watch
Ah,
your
okay.
step.